gonna marry me?
Yes, I'll marry you.
Come here then. Come here then.
On the dead
Today! Juliana! Yeah, we out this bitch. You know what the fuck going on? Hold on. I'm going down in this bitch for real. Watch this. I think I'm playing. I'm playing, buddy. Oh, shit, buddy. Oh, shit. I'm staying on point. I'm watching my back, that back door close on nigga. I'm staying on point. Since she love me, I know she a hoe. I ain't falling for shit. I'm staying on point. Ask me to get smart, some dope, roll him up in that switch just like his boy. I'm staying on point. Gang, gang, gang. I'm staying on point. I'm watching my back, that back door close on nigga. I'm staying on point. Since she love me, I know she a hoe. I ain't falling for shit. I'm staying on point. Ask me to get smart, some dope, roll him up in that switch just like his boy. I'm staying on point. Gang, gang, gang. Look, these niggas be acting tough. Ain't never too shit on that talking, ain't adding up. These niggas ain't matching us. Come from across that she can't find that matters fuck. And I know she ain't eating. Try to cling to a nigga like she ain't no thigh. Tell little bitch bleeding. Hit the road on point, go ahead and kick rocks. I be throwing up three. Can't be posting that G cause the fed is after me. Boy, I'm really a beast. If I want your ass, go my demons out for free.
This is Jacaira Ortiz, a 24-year-old Amazon employee and beloved daughter, sister, and friend who would be found deceased in her Fayetteville, North Carolina apartment on January 4th, 2025, just days after sending what would become her final text message to her mother. But before we uncover the chilling sequence of events that led to this young woman's tragic end, let me take you back to August 2024, where a seemingly fairy tale moment captured on video would mark the beginning of the end, and where we'll expose the disturbing warning signs that were hiding in plain sight, signs that might have saved Jacaira's life if only someone had known what to look for.
Hey, what is that?
Come here. Come here.
What do you have?
Love me?
Yes, I love you.
Come here.
What is it?
You love me? Back up. Back up.
No, what is it? Hey, what is that?
You love me?
Yes, I love you.
You love me?
Babe.
You love me?
Yes, I love you.
You wanna be my wife?
Babe, what is that? Babe, stop lying.
You see what it is? Look, y'all. I'm ready. That bitch dense.
Babe.
You gonna marry me?
Yes, I'll marry you.
Come here then.
The proposal seemed absolutely perfect, didn't it? In the footage, you can hear the excitement building in Jacaira's voice as she repeatedly asks what's happening, the anticipation growing with each passing second, her genuine confusion and joy radiating through every single word she speaks. And then comes the moment that would be shared, celebrated, and remembered by everyone who knew them as a couple, the proposal itself, caught forever on camera, seemingly memorializing a beautiful new chapter in their relationship. Jacaira had relocated to Fayetteville, North Carolina from Delaware in mid-2024, following this engagement to Goodwallace, leaving behind the support systems and familiar surroundings she had known her entire life. She worked as an Amazon employee, throwing herself into building a new life in this unfamiliar southern city alongside the man she believed she would marry. Her family and friends consistently described her as warm-hearted, kind to absolutely everyone she encountered, the type of person whose smile could genuinely light up any room she walked into. Her social media presence painted the picture of someone living what appeared to be a perfectly happy, enviable life. Beautiful photos with her fiancé, glimpses into their life together, the kind of curated happiness that so many of us have become accustomed to seeing scrolled endlessly across her phones. But beneath this carefully constructed facade, something far darker was beginning to take root. The changes were subtle at first, but Jacaira's communication with her family back in Delaware became increasingly infrequent. The regular phone calls and text messages that had once been a constant in their relationships began to dwindle, becoming sporadic, eventually becoming rare. When family members did manage to get her on the phone, they noticed she sounded tired, distracted, disconnected, not quite present in the conversations, as if her mind was somewhere else entirely, preoccupied with concerns she wasn't sharing with the people who loved her most. The isolation was becoming more pronounced with each passing week. Jaikaira began declining social invitations, choosing instead to stay home more and more frequently, retreating from the friendships and connections that had once been so important to her. For anyone who has recognized the patterns and warning signs of domestic violence situations, these behavioral changes represent textbook indicators that something deeply troubling is happening behind closed doors. The gradual cutting off of support systems and limiting their contact with the outside world until they become entirely dependent on their abuser for all social interaction and emotional support. And here's where this case takes an even more chilling turn. Julian Goodwallace was not just some ordinary boyfriend with anger management issues or relationship problems. He had a documented criminal history that should have raised massive red flags for anyone who knew about it.
Why are you out?
I got permission.
You got permission?
Yeah,
Who did you get permission from, sir?
my PO.
In 2022, Goodwallace was convicted federally as a felon in possession of a firearm, a serious charge that resulted in him serving 15 months in federal prison. He was released in January 2024 and placed under 3 years of federal probation that he would be actively serving throughout the entire period of his engagement to Jaikaira, throughout their move to Fayetteville together, throughout the months when their relationship was supposedly at its happiest and most committed. But it wasn't just the gun conviction that was the problem. His earlier criminal records revealed a pattern of violent and destructive behavior that stretched back years before he ever met Jaikaira. Charges for breaking and entering, assault, and multiple probation violations created a clear, unmistakable pattern of someone who repeatedly crossed legal and moral boundaries. December 31st, 2024, New Year's Eve, would mark the beginning of the end for Jaikaira, though she almost certainly had no idea as that evening began that she was living through the final hours of her young life. The couple spent part of that evening at Goodwallace's mother's house, which should have been a pleasant family gathering to celebrate the holiday together, but something went terribly wrong during that visit, an argument erupting between Jaikaira and Julian, tensions rising to a level that was apparently noticeable enough that his own mother would later become concerned about his son's well-being following the confrontation. The exact nature of what they argued about that evening remains unclear. Perhaps it was something significant, perhaps it was something trivial that simply became the spark that ignited months of accumulated tension and unresolved conflict between them. What we do know with absolute certainty is that after leaving his mother's home, the situation escalated dramatically at the couple's shared apartment in the Lake in the Pines complex on the 900 block of Tamarack Drive. In the very early morning hours of January 1st, 2025, just minutes after midnight had struck and a new year had officially begun, something horrific was unfolding behind the closed door of their apartment at Lake in the Pines. Something so violent and disturbing that neighbors couldn't help but take notice despite the late hour. At 3:55 in the morning, a neighbor made the critical decision to call 911, reporting what they described as a physical domestic disturbance taking place in Jaikaira and Julian's apartment. The caller told the emergency dispatcher they had witnessed aggressive movements through the apartment windows, movements that suggested violence was actively occurring inside the residence. Even more disturbingly, the neighbor reported believing they had actually seen a man, presumably Goodwallace, physically striking someone inside the residence, an observation so alarming that it prompted them to reach out to authorities immediately, despite any potential reluctance to get involved in what many people might dismiss as just a couple's argument. When Fayetteville police officers arrived at the scene around 4:55 in the morning, roughly 1 hour after that initial 911 call was placed, they approached the apartment and attempted to make contact with whoever might be inside. but there was no answer when they knocked on the door. No response to their calls and announcements identifying themselves as police officers. By that point, they noted the apartment had gone completely quiet. Whatever violence or commotion had been taking place earlier had apparently ceased, or at least moved beyond what could be observed or heard from outside the residence. Here's where this case becomes absolutely maddening for anyone who understands the realities of domestic violence situations and how often law enforcement's hands are tied with legal procedures and restrictions. Without probable cause to enter the residence, without anyone answering the door or calling for help from inside, the responding officers ultimately made the decision to leave the scene. They had no way of knowing what had actually occurred inside that apartment, no way of knowing that Jaquira Ortiz might have already been gravely injured or worse, no legal justification to force entry without more concrete evidence that someone inside was in immediate, verifiable danger. In the hours that followed, Goodwallace's own mother requested a welfare check on his son, still concerned about the argument that had taken place at her home on New Year's Eve, and perhaps worried about what might have transpired afterward. In what must have seemed like a reassuring development at the time, she subsequently encountered her son at a gas station and grocery store later that day. Chance meetings where Goodwallace assured her mother that everything was fine, that Jaquira was okay, that there was nothing to worry about regarding either of their well-being. But here's the absolutely chilling detail that would emerge later. Witnesses reported that during one of the arguments between Jaquira and Julian, whether on this particular night or during a previous altercation remains unclear from available reports, Goodwallace had actually pointed a firearm directly at Jaquira.
This detail is particularly significant given his prior federal conviction for being a felon in possession of a firearm. Not only should he not have had access to any guns given his criminal history and probation status, but he was actively using one as a weapon of intimidation and control against the woman he claimed to love. Jaquira's last known communication with anyone outside that apartment was a text message sent to her mother shortly after midnight on January 1st. The message was simple, loving, and gave absolutely no indication of the horror that may have already occurred or was about to unfold. Happy New Year. I love you. When family members couldn't reach Jaquira in the subsequent days, concern began to mount rapidly among her loved ones back in Delaware. On January 3rd, Jaquira's sister made the decision to contact Fayetteville police from Delaware, requesting a welfare check on her sister, trying to get someone with authority to physically verify that Jaquira was safe and okay. But it wasn't until January 4th, after multiple family members, including Jaquira's brother, Paris Austin, had made the desperate drive from out of state to North Carolina and filed a formal missing person report, that authorities finally took the steps necessary to enter that apartment and discover the truth of what had happened to the young woman whose family was frantically searching for her.
And then, you just hear the screaming of my mother.
Upon obtaining a search warrant and entering the apartment at Lake in the Pines, Fayetteville police officers discovered Jaquira Ortiz's body in the bedroom, positioned tragically between the bed and a wall near the window.
They were all here at the Lake in the Pines apartments on Tamarack Drive when police found her body in one of the apartments.
The bedroom itself bore the physical evidence of what had transpired. Bullet holes pierced the exterior bedroom window, and down in the parking lot outside, Jaquira's vehicle showed similar bullet damage. When investigators collected and analyzed the bullet casings found at both locations, they discovered something crucial. The casings matched, directly linking the damage to the vehicle and the violence inside the bedroom to the same source, the same weapon, presumably the same person who had pulled the trigger. The condition of Jaquira's body told investigators that she had been deceased for several days before her discovery, meaning that while her family was desperately trying to reach her, she was already gone and already beyond their help. Autopsy results would later confirm the devastating cause of death. Jaquira had suffered from both a contusion incident to the head and showed signs of strangulation, indicating that her final moments had involved unimaginable violence inflicted by someone who should have been protecting her, caring for her, and loving her. The combination of these injuries, the evidence of such brutality, led authorities to immediately classify this as a homicide and to focus their investigation on the one person who had been the last known individual to see Jaquira alive, her fiancé, Julian Goodwallace. By the time police made their grim discovery inside the apartment, Goodwallace was long gone. His personal belongings were absent from the residence, indicating he had hastily collected his things and fled the scene at some point after Jakira's life ended. Surveillance footage from a local 7-Eleven and Walmart captured him in the hours following the homicide, his behavior described as erratic and noticeably agitated, the kind of demeanor that might suggest guilt, panic, or an awareness that his entire world was about to come crashing down around him. Adding to the evidence of his flight, Goodwallace failed to appear for a scheduled federal probation appointment on January 2nd, a violation that alone would have been enough to send him back to federal custody given his criminal history and the terms of his supervised release. His absence from that meeting, occurring just one day after Jakira's last communication with her family, represented yet another piece of a puzzle that was becoming increasingly clear to investigators working to piece together exactly what had happened inside that Tamarack Drive apartment. A week-long manhunt ensued, with Fayetteville police actively searching for Goodwallace while simultaneously working to build their case against him. Finally, on January 12th, acting on information provided by a concerned citizen, police located and arrested Julian Goodwallace near Santa Fe Drive. He was immediately charged with first-degree murder and booked into the Cumberland County Detention Center, where he has remained held without bond as this case slowly moves through the judicial system. Since his arrest, Goodwallace has remained notably silent, offering no public statements, providing no explanations, showing no apparent remorse for the young woman whose life he allegedly stole and whose family has been left shattered by her loss.
I'm gonna miss her smile and her drive, personally.
Jakira's brother, Paris Austin, who had made that terrible journey to North Carolina with a sinking feeling in his heart about what they might find, has spoken publicly about his sister's loss, emphasizing the vibrant, loving person she was and how much her smile, her energy, and her very presence will be missed by everyone who knew and loved her. The community response to Jakira's death has been one of overwhelming support and calls for justice. Local groups like Watch Out Cumberland County, North Carolina have posted tributes across social media, sharing memories of Jakira and encouraging everyone to support her grieving family during this impossibly difficult time. A GoFundMe fundraiser was established to help cover funeral expenses and provide financial support to her loved ones, a tangible way for the community to express their compassion and solidarity with a family forever changed by this tragedy. While no official motive has been released by investigators, unconfirmed speculation based on the investigation suggests that Jakira may have been considering leaving the relationship, potentially making the decision to finally escape what had clearly become a dangerous and abusive situation. If true, this would align with one of the most tragic and well-documented patterns in domestic violence cases. The most dangerous time for a victim is often when they attempt to leave their abuser, when the abuser recognizes they're losing control over someone they've worked to isolate and dominate. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.